My name is Jonathan Parks, and welcome to Jonathan's Nature Crafts. Well, I'll tell you all that there's a new project we come along with, and over the time that, I was off of work for a long time because of the weather and inability to get out and student safety and things like that, I cut out a couple of these blanks from which to make these golden retrievers with their tails curved to the side. I could tell you the story as to how I came up with this blank and this design because, first of all, I had ones where the tail was out a little bit more, but I needed ones that would fit the block that I was working with, so I kind of redid the pattern where it could fit the block and have the tails come out like this. So I've had the pattern ever since the time when I made it for a piece of walnut, which I used to make black Labradors this way. But it turned out that with a piece of sassafras that was about the same shape, I could come up with a way to make little ones that were, you know, like golden retrievers with the little pieces done out like this. So it just kind of happened that, as you can see, there's certain works to the pattern, and you can kind of notice what I do here is just remove little chips of wood for the ears here. That's one of the first little parts of the design, and come along, add a little bit of extra kind of cutting in to put in just a little bit of extra work to the piece, and come up with what we have for one little piece of work that's just doing its way right in. And come down to it, we'll just kind of remove some more wood from the edges from around where we come to the top of the head, and remove a little excess wood from around here. And we're going to do the same with the other little retriever that has the tail turned the other way. And we kind of turn it different ways with different blanks just to try to give our customers a little bit more choice what to choose from. We'll take the same step along the ears of this one as well to try to get a little extra freaking cut into it and make it so it's going to be just a fine little critter of worth to us, and making it see what we're all just kind of making out of good little things we got. And in this little place, I say, there was just one little piece of good wood that comes right into its place where we make just the ear to put it in place. So that is how the options work and what we kind of make out of what we have and what we do. Perhaps I might have gotten this knife a little too dull, using it on the wrong side of the stone, or perhaps it could just be getting old. So we're going to have to kind of switch knives here a little bit and try to get things in a little better shape for us to remove some excess wood from around here. Come down to a point where we're going to try to put in some extra little pieces of wood that kind of make just how the golden retriever is coming its way out to where, you know, just out to the side with the very end of its face. So, come to think of it, there's just ways we work with this, and I'll say a little more as we move along here to the rest of the head. And sometimes, just sometimes, I say that it's just coming down to where we're kind of making things right down to the middle of the piece. And with all the work we have involved, we're just making nice little retriever dogs. They are nice little puppies that kind of turn their heads to us, and we just know that there's a lot of songs out there about them being your sunshine. So, kind of work a little bit this way, try to remove a little extra wood from along the head where we come right down to the close to the dadgum ear, and just kind of try to get a little extra way into this little piece as well, just to try to get a little wood removed out of the system. And this is where we see that we're coming down to the nice little piece of fur that makes the head, and then doing it with a little bit of cheer and pizzazz. We're just kind of doing what we know how to do with just a little bit of critter inside of us, and working our way into a piece. This is just going to be a fine little thing we just really come up with to make our days so much brighter and enjoyable. And out of a good piece of wood, there's a lot to carve. So I come down to where we get lines in places and just see what we can remove out of a good little piece of work, and try to just get the little chips loose out of the pup. And one little thing after another, I say, this is just my little enjoyable piece of work. So come down here around the muzzle, around the top of the front of the leg. We're going to do a little more. And maybe while we're at it, take the kind of same little steps along this one as well. Try to remove a little more out of here. Kind of try to get a little freaking space down to the little itchy place where we know that nice work just makes a fine way into things. So give it all a little grace and mercy into help in our time of need. So I say, down with the muzzle. Down to the muzzle we go. And just putting little pieces of work down right into the little piece, I say. And sometimes, just sometimes, I say, might not have done a good enough job sharpening these knives before I got started, but trying to hang in there with it. So try to just get things right inside the lines into place where a little bit of work needs to be. So come to think of it, we'll just kind of try to remove some from the head. Try to get a little plate down where we can just ostracize the kind of work we got involved in the little piece. And just to do one thing after another, we're going to make this a fine art and come down to where we see nice little tan lines for the dog. And come to think of it, just a time when we're going to come back to this other one, try to get the same little steps into it as well, kind of try to see what we're going to remove out of this old puppy, try to get it down to where it's going to be a little pride and joy for us. And knowing what is up with the muzzle, we don't know what we have, so every time we kind of work into a good piece, we just know that it's just fine little art to make its way to us. So trying to just remove all the places where we see the excess wood that doesn't need to be there. It's just kind of a time to thin things down and get a good neck on the dog and just remove all the little worries of the wood. So this is just one where we're coming down to this place too, trying to get a little bit of extra wooden space to kind of make it so a fine little puppy is just as sweet as gold. So sometimes, just sometimes, these dogs can just have little interesting things about them, have little interesting nippity news to them, and this is just kind of a way how we just get a little piece right in ourselves. So with this little thing being said, there's going to be times we're going to know more and finally come down to where we're just removing the wood along the neck of this one too and try to get it where it's going to be a fine little puppy to see and to know and to love for ourselves. And a little wood carving can be a wonderful little treasure to us and make us think that we're all just belonging to each other in the bestest ways we can. So come down to this little niche, I'll tell y'all that we're kind of narrowing down a little more to what we are going to need. So come to this moment, it's just a time when we're just working on this and working on that and kind of seeing how good a dog will have. So I think when this blank was cut out, there was probably a place or two that probably wasn't cut out good enough, and some of these places were probably going to have to kind of chip off more wood than we usually would when it comes down to a thing. So kind of like one little artsy work right after another can make a fine little pup have a little place in our lives where we see just the joy we have of working with wood. And little do we know what it's going to be next. So I just want to say that I'm so glad you all are here. There's little steps we're going to take little at a time just to move along the project. But as for now, I think we've got to come to an end. So thank you all for watching. Take care and hope you have a very blessed evening. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe to this channel. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.